with another Friday Night Live. October 29th, 2021. Okay, so we're checking out here. It seems like to be working. Awesome. Hope everybody's doing freaking amazing. Another wonderful overcast day in the greater TO. Let's see here.
Yeah, so we did, hi everyone. We got a private message from one of the Master Fast members for me, and she said, since you are a woman who studied fertility and you also live and love Master Fast, I wanted to ask you about premenstrual symptoms. I don't feel good sharing, this private info in the MasterClass group about health problems. So I thought a private message would be better. For the past months, I've been experiencing very strong PMS, and that's premenstrual symptoms. And I tried both approaches, fasting and eating, and I struggled with both. If I eat, I cannot digest anything. I get bloated and everything obstructs the colon. If I don't eat, I am so hungry that nothing can help banish the cravings. Even if I crave healthy food. So basically nothing would stop the cravings even when one eats healthy food. I don't know how to approach these days, fasting more or balancing eating with fasting. I know that my kidneys and other elimination organs are quite obstructed. And that's the reason I get such bad premenstrual symptoms. Is there any approach to eating and fasting you could recommend for these days before my period? And then she goes on to say, I've been living and loving the lifestyle since September, and I have been, so now it's what, it's right now it's October, so 2 months more or less, and have been doing levels 3 to 4 almost every week. However, I realized that I became so sensitive to various foods. So in a way, my body tells me no to certain foods, but my mind still craves these foods, even though they are considered healthy foods, such as certain fruits and vegetables, right? So the mind is telling her no to some fruits and vegetables. Do you think, the body is telling her no to some fruits and vegetables, but the mind, the ego, the mind still wants them, but the body is kind of not very happy with some fruits and vegetables. I wonder what they are, but it's okay. Do you think this phase will pass and somehow my mind will align with my body as I will as I become cleaner and cleaner? Because now on eating days, I try to eat as best as I can as per the protocol. But I can stray off. But if I stray off and let's say have some beans, my body shuts off and I get all sorts of symptoms. I'm not sure what is happening, and sometimes I wonder if this is good for me. as part of me craves various foods. Okay, so she's wondering, she's questioning, is this whole lifestyle actually good for her, you know? Thank you so much for your support and taking the time to answer my questions. And thank you for inspiring me to speak about spirituality more openly, as I would always be afraid to speak about it and feel judged. Everything happens for the reason, and creator had a message for me through you and our encounters. Thank you so much. That's that's a nice compliment. Thank you. I am glad that we are speaking about spirituality. Okay, go down, please. Yeah. Yeah, so the other question is about iris reading, and whether it is good to do it now, or maybe she will wait for iris reading. Actually, you know, there's a good something I want to read there, please. If you go back, yeah, it's okay. You know, this is for me, but it's that's actually a good question, or a good statement. I would love to do the iris reading with you, and I just thought that it would be best to fast a little more, become cleaner, and also use the herbs I have. Right, so she already has massive fast herbs, and she's doing the protocol a few days a week. And before ordering another batch to do the iris reading, so yeah, and before, I think, okay, maybe ordering other more herbs. Can you please go down? Yeah. Where were we? Okay. Before, yes. So she would like the iris reading, I believe, to get the protocol for herbal protocol, right? Which we suggest with the iris reading. I would like to try a longer fast next year in the spring. I thought it would be wonderful to pair it with the Lent period, the time when Jesus fasted for 40 days in the desert. Absolutely beautiful, yeah. I will let you know when I am ready for the iris reading. Do you also offer private consultation for MasterFast, as Gino does? That's all for now, and I hope I did not with the questions. Thank you once again, and for all your love and support. Thank you. Okay, so there are a few questions, and I will start by answering, and then Gino, you can also, I mean, it's good to have it so I can refer to it sometimes. Okay. So premenstrual symptoms. You know, I honestly, I stopped looking, you know, my whole menstrual cycle and symptoms that I used to have. I used to take medicine maybe 10 years ago. 10 years ago and more, I used to take medicine every time I got my period. And that was like almost like a must, because it was unbearable pain. And this whole thing changed for me when I did raw food. And one big thing when I started raw food, maybe nine and a half years ago, when I started raw food, I noticed I was probably constipated, but it was not something that I used to pay attention to, the constipation and bowel movements. But I'm sure I was constipated. And because as soon as I started eating raw food, I was just moving my bowels like there's no tomorrow. And when I started moving my bowels every day, like nice big bowel movements, then I noticed that of course, I paid more attention to anything that I'm taking, when you do raw food, you watch everything that you're taking, especially medicine. And so I said, you know what, even if I have to suffer a little bit, I'm not going to take medicine. But at the same time, that's when the premenstrual symptoms went away. That's when the premenstrual symptoms went away. When my bowel movements just kept, increasing, I had more and more releases on my own. At that time, I didn't even know much about NMS, but I was just moving my bowels, and pain was like pretty much gone. And I also was paying attention to and more aware of what I am ingesting, especially when it comes to medication. So that whole thing changed for me when I changed my diet, for sure. But then with the master fast, of course, it was on a completely different level. It was a release at another level. And for me, right now, actually, I do not, I haven't like had menstrual bleeding for maybe a year, I don't know, but about. So menstrual bleeding has stopped. And it's such a nice feeling, not to have to deal with that anymore. And some people, of course, would worry. People who have very little information about an experience with this lifestyle may worry and think that they have become infertile. For some reason, I feel very, very comfortable with with my health. I feel confident that this is definitely that it's just something that you feel is true in your heart, that the this path is a path towards health, rather than any, like, towards health and balance, rather than any imbalances, including infertility and premenstrual symptoms and all that. So one thing I would say, on master fast lifestyle, I would, after 6 years now, 6+ years so far, I started August 2015. After this 6 years, I feel that it's I don't need to worry no more about specific challenges, not anymore. And we have, Gino has guided many people, and he always mentioned it's balance versus imbalance, and I completely agree with that. With experience, you will, most people do agree with that. So this is how I see things: balance versus imbalance. I, stopped taking one specific challenge in my body as an issue, on its own, but I see it as a holistic thing, and I see it as a challenge that starts with the obstructions. And for me, the only way to reverse that is to release the obstructions. So for premenstrual symptoms, I would not even, when I used to get my period in the past 6 years, and sometimes I had a little bit of pain. Of course, when I ate obstructive food, I had all kinds of pains. It's not just my premenstrual symptoms. It was beyond my reproductive system. It was my whole body from head to toe. It was the entire body. So we cannot really separate this from that issue. It was holistic, and I felt it holistically from head to toe. It feels like you feel in every cell in your body when you are obstructed. And when you reverse that, everything reverses. Everything. It's not one challenge that reverses, but like all the challenges start reversing. And I don't need to worry at all about any challenge anymore, because go back to nature. Master fast simply helps you go back to nature. That's all. So the body can heal the way it's designed by our creator. That's as simple as that. Yeah. So yeah, balancing fasting and eating, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know any other way. You want to find your balance with the lifestyle of fasting. Master fast is a fasting lifestyle, and you want to find your balance with that. And if you want to eat, you'll have to have eating days and fasting days, and just find your balance with that. Yes, I know that my kidneys and other elimination organs are quite obstructed. Yeah, that's what everybody has challenges with, right? It's the waste elimination organs, starting with the bowels, where when we eat our food, it goes to the bowels and then to the kidneys. And when they are obstructed, the whole body will start, struggling. Yeah. I wouldn't worry at all. I would just not give up. It takes years, it takes years, and a belief system that you will have to develop over time with experience. And if you feel ready for a 40-day fast, then maybe it is a good idea in this next spring. So prepare for it now by living and loving the levels. And then in the springtime, do the 40 days and you will find huge transformations with these fasts, at that time, I mean, you're prepared. So what we say about long fasts, right? And you will know by that time, if you mess up, it's you, it's all on you. I mean, it's always on the whoever does anything, right? It's the responsibility. That's what we teach. If we teach anything, it's to be responsible, and then that's something actually given. It shouldn't be taught even. Yeah, the food cravings, honestly, come from food. Obstructions. The more obstructed we are, if we eat more obstructive food, we are gonna have more cravings. The more you release, with time. So it's not about, instead of, I stopped using the word cleaner, because we're all clean. Okay, we're all clean. We're all done. We're all clean. But maybe let's talk about obstructions. As I become less and less obstructed, yeah, I would say yes. As you become less and less obstructed, things will start aligning better for you, for sure. Yeah, it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful feeling, and everything will start reversing, and it's not, and being sensitive to food, absolutely, you're going to be more sensitive. There's without a question. We cannot go back to eating the same way we used to eat. And beans, the only legumes I would have is peas, green peas. Are they legumes? Yeah, the only legumes I would have are fresh green beans, green peas. I love these, and they don't really bother me so much. Of course, if I overeat anything, it will bother me, even fruits. But yeah, cooked in in a way that I like, and not overeating them. When I say cooked in a way I like, of course, without the salts, without the oils, without, if I go to a restaurant and order green beans, it would be not good for me. Yeah, I can't eat anything from outside. Honestly, I cannot eat anything from outside anymore. And is this a bad thing? No, I'm happy with my food. I'm very happy with my food and comfortable with my food. And people are comfortable who are close to me. We don't go out much, with me bringing food if I want to eat, and sharing with them. Or just going there fasting. Sometimes I go fasting and I bring food and they eat it, and I just sit down and enjoy being with them, yeah, sometimes you wonder if this is the right path. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, we have asked that question. Many of us, especially the ones who have done the 108 days and broke it, and 40 days and broke it, we ask ourselves the questions. Or 3-day dry fast, you know, and in the middle of a 3-day dry fast, like especially the first ones, you ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? I feel like I'm dying, right? But when you release after, when you break it, and you see what comes out of you, and you smell what comes out of you, then you will know a lot. You will learn a lot. It's experience, right? Like doing things over and over again. Then you will have more confidence that this should not be inside me. Just the smell, just the smell. You know, today I was discussing that with my sister. I said, just the smell, you know, like about what comes out of us. My goodness gracious, it's really amazing. Yeah, and spirituality is a beautiful thing. Let's please talk about it, because that's the base of everything in this life, really. Our faith, we can go far with our faith, you know. We can do a lot of things because we come closer to God, and that's the power. Okay, that's the power. If you want, you know, ultimate love, ultimate protection, ultimate comfort, then we want to practice our faith, because that's how we will really, really, truly get it. Not from a mother or a father or a husband or a sister or a brother. We get it from God. But of course, by, you know, being connected to God, this means we will be connected to the people around us as well. All right, our connection will becomes stronger with time. It's nice when to see a family, an entire family, pray together. It's just so beautiful when I see that. They're not opposing each other. They're completely on the same page. I love, you know, growing up, I loved seeing some of the very few families, or even TV shows sometimes, you know. There was a TV show called Seven Heavens or something, and I used to watch it, and I was like, oh my God, these are so interesting. Let me finish it. Yeah. Yeah, like living in such a family is so comforting. But of course, before, you know, being comforted by your parents and your sisters and your siblings, you're comforted by your worship of the Creator. That's the biggest comfort. And if your family teaches you that and you do it together, I mean, that's heaven on earth. Because nothing, you know, if when you're close to God, nothing can hurt us, you know. Of course, you know, there are challenges, but these are tests, and now we realize that these are tests. You know, you can observe, it's like light. It's having the light, you know, like when you master fast and you learn things, you have an understanding, you know. And that's what happens when you strengthen your faith. We get this understanding that everything is happening for a reason, and we shouldn't be upset, but actually this can strengthen my faith, so we take it as an opportunity. The iris analysis, whatever makes you comfortable. I mean, I just suggest that everybody can, I would say everybody can benefit from doing at least one iris analysis in their life, you know. And then as they clean up their lifestyle, as they you know, they remove more and more obstructions from the lifestyle, and, you know, from their body, they release. It would be nice to see the changes. And I would say we recommend 6 months to 1 year before you do another one. The longer, of course, the better, because you'll have more changes if you love the lifestyle. But you can do it, I guess, after 6 months. Yeah, but at least once in your life, just to have an idea of patterns, you know, that have been observed by many people throughout history. You know, they have studied patterns in the iris, and are like a reflexology of what happens inside our bodies, and especially our GI tract. You know, it's really interesting. it's like reflexology in any other part of the body, right? If somebody can have learned how to do that, to read the tongue, for example, or on our skin, maybe some spots. That's nice. You know, people who have learned that from experience or from courses as well. And you can have a nice herbal protocol that goes along with the iris reading as well. And it would be nice to see if some of the readings that we see, things that we see in your iris, are things that you are actually experiencing, and that just to help you select the herbs that would help you the most. And a longer fast next year sounds like fantastic. Yeah, with the Lent before Easter. Yeah, that's great. Do it. There's nothing like fasting for our faith, with our faith, making it part of the faith. Can I see the last part? Yeah. Yeah, and for the private consultations, for now, Gino's doing it. I have never done private consultations, but if you feel like you would like a woman's, feedback and, meetings, then we can definitely think about it. We can discuss it if people are interested in having a female to, maybe some women are comfortable with women, then sure, you can, we can look into that. Yeah. That's about it.
Fasting is a spiritual, first and foremost, journey. And once we start that journey, all imbalances will start to come to the surface. All of them. Couple of months of this lifestyle, we used to say when we were doing 108 days, we're just opening the doors after 108 days of no food. So doing the levels is at a much, much, much slower pace, depending what level up. Because anytime you introduce food, you stop the elimination process. But why we are so adamant about the levels is because of the uncontrollable wackoness when people went on long fasts and went back to food. They didn't know what to do with themselves, because we go back to emotion. Intent and emotion is seed of all. So we have to learn to, we choose to learn to embrace all the things that start coming to the surfaces, because the understanding is that this is all part of the process. And most people are not going to like what the experiences that they're going through, because they're not pleasant. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to choose, do we want to be on the spiritual fasting path? That's first and foremost, because if we choose that at all costs, then we're going to have a much better time embracing all the things that come to the surface, because we look ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, let me deal with this, and let's jump for joy, and let's use the tools to pull me through. Now, like I said, doing the levels is going to be a much, much, much slower pace, depending what level. Like if you were jump up to a level 5 or 6, you're going to see much more obstructions being purged. You know, if you choose to do the 40 days in the spring, you're going to see a whole different experience because you're not, fasting, breaking the fast, fasting, breaking the fast, fasting. You're going and allowing the layers to be stripped away. And that's why we were doing the long 108 days, because humanity is such an obstructive state right now. 108 days is really, like we said, it's just to start to open the doors.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
And we must want to choose to live the spiritual fasting lifestyle. So, if you want to prepare for that, as Ryan was saying, that would be the best thing right now. Prepare mentally, continue with the levels, maybe step it up. Every second or third week, step it up to a level 5 or 6. Maybe,
or even 7.
Yeah, you can go to a level 7 and go back down again, and then play with that, going back and forth. Your body sounds like the average person, very obstructed. The physical, mental, and emotional bodies go together, so we can't separate all that. They all are in union. And as we break free the physical obstructions, the mental and emotional obstructions are going to come to the surface as well. So we're going to have to allow those processes to take place, and jump for joy, like I said, whenever these things start happening. If you look at all the history in the Facebook group of all the people going through all kinds of crazy healing reactions, jump for joy. That's the saying we use. It's very, very common. Is it normal? No, it's not normal, because we're humans, man, women are living far away from nature's laws. So today they're very common, but they're not normal. According to our divine design, absolutely not normal to feel any of these things. Is eating normal? I honestly don't believe so. In my 1.5 cent worth opinion, we come from the light and we shall return. This physical experience is a kind of a fall, and the eating is part of that fall, I believe. So since we're here on this physical plane, nothing wrong with eating. Just choose the least obstructive foods. And of course, we go to the fruit kingdom for that. The more we eat outside of that, farther away from the fruit choice, we are going to experience more difficult times. And it's all okay. The choice is always yours. What level of obstructiveness you want to live. If you want to live 7 days a week eating, go for it. That's your choice. That's we all have that free will to choose. But to have some drastic changes towards balance, I've never seen it in my 30 plus years, 31 plus years of being in the health journey, that food is going to make a massive change compared to a fasting lifestyle. It's just two different things. It's completely two different things. So we balance out both. We love fasting. We love eating, but we love fasting way more. That's the motto. And when we choose to eat, choose the least obstructive, make the best of it. The more obstructive we eat, the more obstructive we want to eat, and the spiral continues. It's just the way it is. If you, let's say, stay on 100% raw, it's going to be easier than being 90 or 95% raw for most people, because you don't
Much
reintroduce
easier to digest.
those energy packets of the cooked food, which are very, very powerful and very, very addictive. The cooked food is addictive, much more so than raw food. But all foods have some addiction at play. That's why we continue to eat. If we can control those through nourishing our emotions, hunger would disappear. So going back to all those cravings and so on and so forth you're having, will they ever go away? Absolutely not. They will always be there, and you're going to have to make those choices of
They become much less
yeah,
controllable.
taking control of them through your lifestyle choices. As I said, the more obstructive we eat, the more obstructive we're going to want to eat. The less obstructive we eat, the less obstructive we're going to want to eat. The taste buds will change. You'll acquire a taste for new things, and that's what happens over time. A few years is nothing. A few years is nothing in this lifestyle journey. 9 years is a good start, as the saying goes. So you got a lot of stuff coming to the surface, a lot of questions, a lot of doubts. This is very common, very
Absolutely.
common. And, without knowing everything, the history and so on and so forth, the obstructiveness that you're experiencing is the cause of everything you're going through, and that's why they're coming to the surface. So to deal with them in a much quicker way would be going to level 7, of course, and but to maintain a level 7, what are you going to do when you choose to go back to food? That's the big challenge. If you're already having challenges with certain foods now and you're just doing level 3, 4, imagine when you go to level 7 and you try and eat food again. And if you want to try and eat some obstructive foods, you're going to see that it's going to be very unpleasant, right? So, all these things that you're experiencing are very, very common. It's nothing out of the ordinary. When you're doing level 7 for long periods of time, for months, the body is able to purge at levels unheard of in the detox community compared to Master Fast system lifestyle. Master Fast system is the king and queen of purging. There's nothing out there that will allow the body to purge anything more than that, except if you go on a
nothing that you have know of, right?
Nothing that I know of, unless you go on a complete dry fast. But most people would probably not survive because we would drown in our own filth, as the saying goes. The body becomes too overwhelmed, cannot release the obstructions that the body's trying to purge out. And it's very, very difficult in today's modern man and woman. So yeah, master fasting keeps it safe and very, very effective. Mimicking a true fast, which is only a dry fasting state. The wet periods are for washing out what the dry fasting is performing on your physical, mental, and emotional body. So that's why we're going back and forth on a daily window, weekly, monthly, season change windows of the dry fast. So we're doing that squeeze, wash, squeeze, wash, squeeze, wash over and over and over and over again at different phases and different strengths of squeezing. And this is what really allows the body to purge like nothing else. and just opens everything up. Everything starts opening up, and just then you start seeing massive changes towards restoring balance. And that's what we've seen. We've guided tens of thousands of people, so you're no different. We're all come from the same creator, and I have no doubt from my experiences and many thousands of other people's experiences, all went very similar lines of what happens through uh, uh, a true detoxification lifestyle. So what do we recommend? The choice is always yours to live it and love it, or focus on all the imbalances that are happening. And when we're going through these imbalances, it's challenging not to pay attention to them because they're right there. But we have to raise our field strength and say, I understand, I have understanding of what's happening now, and I'm ready to let these go. I'll embrace them, I'll jump for joy, and I'll use the tools best I can to let this process move through me. And it's going to happen over and over and over again until finally you're at a point where you're not going to see these drastic
Reasons.
the detoxification healing reactions. It gets interesting because as we go through the years and we start going deeper and deeper levels, every once in a while something's gonna pop up very deep, because as we peel the layers, we're going into our ancestral depths, which can go back, millennia. And surprise, you go through a major healing reaction in many years down the road, which has happened to me. So always be prepared mentally and emotionally, and spiritually first and foremost, because that's what's going to keep you going. You're not going to be able to do it through willpower. Willpower will
it's going to be faith.
Will cease at some point. You will only be able to have so much will. It has to be done through the spirit, and through your intent and emotion of the spirit, you'll get through this. So go back to your faith, the divine creator. Put a lot of focus on that, and you'll get through it. You will get through it. We haven't seen anybody not go through it that have been living and loving it. Let's put it that way. The only people that curse and this and that and blame everything are the people that don't follow the system. We've seen that over and over again. Start asking questions, they're not living and loving it. They're doing their own thing. So we can't help those people. We are here in this realm to help people live a master fasting lifestyle. There's a gazillion detoxification programs out there, and most of them are not even true detoxification because they involve food. So make the choice and embrace it. And I know it's possible. Everything. The stuff that we've seen is incredible. When you can see, nerves regenerating from paralysis, bones straightening out that were that way from birth, and
that's just what you notice.
The body
there's so
purging
much I don't know.
The most butchered chemo, surgeries, a guy alive that we know, and body restoring all that. Like you're saying, everything's possible. You're just, what you're experiencing is not much. It seems like a lot to you because you've never gone down that path before.
But that's superficial, right? Like the release of the obstructions first that are superficial. But that's big too. I mean, maybe that's where a lot of pain is as well. The superficial stuff.
It's the emotions.
You know, releasing the outer layer is actually maybe the hardest thing. So good.
Yeah,
for
to
you.
break free, to get open the doors,
good
to
for
break
you.
free and open the doors. That's sometimes that's a difficult part at the beginning.
It is.
And once the doors are open and things start flowing,
much easier.
there's a bit of relief. It's
Yeah.
to get sometimes to get that very tough, stagnant part out, to break free. That can be a big challenge at the beginning.
That can be that it can be the hardest part.
We've seen that happen, and once it breaks open, and then it gets a little bit easier.
We see it every time we do a fast, especially a long fast. Every time we start a fast, the hardest day is the first day, without a question. The hardest day.
First few days.
Yeah, the first day because there are bigger obstructions, and then the day after less obstructions. It gets easier, but yeah, it can be you can get cravings and stuff. But the first day is usually, for most people, that's when they give up. The first day. Maybe in the evening, you know, they fast all day, and then in the evening they eat, you know. For most of us who have done eating and fasting, the first day was the hardest day. But yeah, I mean, also the first 3 days are not easy. So good for you. Good for you that you are in the levels are not easy, because there is always a first day with the levels. And you're doing it every single week. Every single week you're going through a day one, and that is hard. And people usually give up quickly, and they say, I can't do the levels, and I just want to do a long fast and then eat. But then when you eat, so that's another thing. When Arjuna was saying, you know, a long fast are great, but my question is, what are you gonna do after? So it's good to train yourself now, so that you're prepared after a 40-day fast to go back to where you were before the fast. You know, you're familiar with the levels, so you're not new to the levels, because the levels are not easy, and you are experiencing them right now. They're challenging, and you know, that's normal. That is very normal. Yeah, it's very normal to fall off in the levels. Actually, I have fallen off for 2 weeks now. But I feel I have been, thank God, good. You know, I'm only eating my food. Everything is local. You know, I cook things my way. So it's not, and I'm still doing my dries every day, and they are keeping me very disciplined. Yeah, the daily dries, I would say, are the most important. And then the weekly dry, and then the monthly dry, and then the seasonal dry. But the weekly dry, because you do them every day, and what you do every day is your lifestyle. What you do every day is your lifestyle. What you do most days, at least, is your lifestyle. What you do once a week is just once a week. But what you do the rest of the week is 6 days, you know, and that's what matters. What you do most of the time. So if I have a good daily dry and I'm sticking to it, that really helps with the cravings and the discipline. Yeah, so I feel under control for the first time in 6 years. I have eaten for 2 weeks now, and I still, thank God, feel like I haven't broken the fast. Because before that, I was doing level 4 or 5. Level 4 or 5, so my body's not in shock of eating. But yeah, I know it's not optimal at all, and it's not something that I want to do. But because it takes so much time and energy, you know, it takes so much time and energy. So it's a good reminder, it's a good break to help me reflect and get back on track. Very important. This is the beauty of the levels, that you will learn a lot. Just keep it under control. like I said, I have my very disciplined with the daily dry, and I'm not eating any more than 3 to 4, maximum 4 hours a day. Nothing more than that. If I eat more than that, if I eat all day, I would be in trouble. I would be in trouble. My cravings would be way stronger. So keeping it within 3 to 4 hours. I'm doing it with my faith, the Islamic way of fasting, daily fasting. So it's not something that I am pushing myself to do. It is just part of the faith, and that makes it way easier that it is part of the faith. If it's just I'm doing it for me to discipline myself, it will be much harder because it will be about me, about my, I don't know, my desires. But it's not. It's for a part of the faith. Yeah, and we all have ups and downs. After a long fast, oh yeah, it's normal to fall off. It's very normal. Gino was saying the reason we don't recommend them anymore because it's because many people have fallen off. And yeah, I have fallen off every time for 6 years until this time, I would say. For 6 years, every time I broke a long fast, I fell off. It wasn't easy at all. None at all. It was really hard to break a long fast. So that is very normal. Don't feel abnormal if you break a long fast and fall off a little bit. It's normal. It's very normal. But it's not something that we recommend at all because you can get yourself in trouble, and so that's why we don't recommend the long fast. Just prepare yourself, and yeah, they're easy. Long fasts are easy, are so freaking easy. That's why people love them. They love them way more than the levels because they're so much easier.
So much freedom.
But easier, forget about it's much less work, much less time to prepare your food, go shopping, and it's much less time to digest, to wash your colon, it's just you're much more energy. I'm sorry, they are way easier than eating. They're without the shadow of a doubt. Fasting is easier than eating, and that's why most people did not accept the levels easily. But we said, okay, but if you want to eat, you have to have a lifestyle. You have a little bit of a program for yourself, so you can stick to it. Otherwise, you're going to be doing long fast and then binge eating, and then doing another long fast and then binge eating. And every time we do a long fast, what did we say? This time it's different. Most people, oh, this time I'm going to break it correctly. For me, I did that twice with long fast and I broke it incorrectly. Yeah, I break it correctly the first few days, but then after that I fell off. But after 2 times of that, I said, and of course we saw many master fasters doing long fast as well. After my second fall off and felt really horrible, I said no. I said no, I am lying to myself to think that this long fast is going to be a good one, and I'm going to break it properly. It's so hard to break a long fast properly. It is really hard. Yeah. So it's very normal to fall off. If anybody, please don't feel abnormal at all, because that is like the norm. If you don't fall off after a long fast, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. You're not a human. Everybody falls off. And yeah, everybody falls off. I mean, come on. Some people will share, some people won't share, and that's okay. Some people feel more guilty, and that's normal too. Some people feel more guilty when they do a mistake than other people. That's another thing. So they express their mistakes and their guilt, and that is okay. You did not do anything wrong. That's just, but please do not push it with the food after a long fast. Do not push it with a long fast neither. Yeah. but do not push it after the long fast. Just because I'm saying it's normal to fall off, I mean, it's also normal to end up in emergency after.
Normal?
I mean, no, I mean, so don't do it. Don't. I mean, it's this is not in history. People bring long fast, they can end up in the body not feeling well at all. So that's what I mean by normal.
It's
So
the last place I would go.
yeah, but this is how bad you can feel. Yeah. So anybody else has questions for us? Hi, Barbara. She says, before I could read what you were saying, somehow I lost that. Yeah, I don't know. Any questions, you're from the group, maybe you want to go over this week? Anything
Somebody else,
special?
I'll answer.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Keep living and loving it. Keep that plasma love always flowing. Stagnation is disease. And we've seen more stagnation in the last couple of years than probably the whole history of humanity. It's very interesting what's going on, but remember, no matter what choices people made, what mistakes they've made, Master Fast is here to help purge out all those demons like nothing else. So, it's interesting that most people around the world believe that health comes in pill, potion, lotion, or needle, instead of coming from the creator, which was the energy that created them. I'm not going to argue with those people. There's no point. 31 years ago, I saw it was futile very quickly. And as I kept saying, it was getting worse until we got to this point a couple of years ago. Like, man, oh man, we're all here to experience this grand, massive fraud for a reason. It's time to embrace the divine creator like we've never had. That's where we're at. We're at the tipping point. So make the choice. Embrace your soul, embrace your creator, move in the direction of peace, balance, correct conduct at all costs. Do the best you can, and then do better than that. So, thank you so much. We will see you next time. See you on the page. See you on next Wednesday's call, 3:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ciao for now.
Goodbye.